Let's do this officially. Welcome, Nonhlanhla.
Thank you.
If you can please tell us your surname and where you're from.
My name is Nonhlanhla Manganyi Sibongo.
Manganyi.
Yes.
Okay.
Ngishadele kwaMthetho.
There we go. Mina ngazi umthetho.
Wazi umthetho?
Yes.
Unamanga.
No, not ngazi umthetho. Ngithi ngazi isibongo kuumthetho.
Oh, kanjani? I always introduce myself as Nonhlanhla Manganyi.
When I met you as Nonhlanhla Mthetho.
Is it?
That's how I even saved you on my phone.
Oh, that's good. That's
so
good.
I didn't want to make a mistake of mentioning the wrong surname.
No. There's
Manganyi oshadele kwaMthetho.
Yes.
Oh no, thank you. Ubusancomi set ngakudisturb.
I love the idea of using what we have. Like, you don't have to wait to go and build a studio somewhere. And yeah, kudos to you.
No, it's not to me. It's kudos to the people I work with, the crew.
To the collective.
Shout out, of course, to Tebza. Shout out to Q. Shout out to Sizwe. Shout out to Khomoto. And all the other guys in the crew. So Njobusho, what's called bootstrapping. Ama camera bolegiwe from a production company. Sisebenza in a room inside a house somewhere.
We are using what we have.
Yeah, so I think this is the best way to build, personally.
I mean, that's how I started out as well.
Yeah.
I started out a dining room. I used what I have. I didn't have to wait for funding. As I think I've mentioned this to you before. My pantry was my dining room table. And I made it work. And we started cooking. I was using my Hyundai Elantra with a very small boot. That's what I was using to. So I was using my Hyundai Elantra with a very small boot to deliver to a set of 60 people. I was doing breakfast and lunch, and yeah. A couple of years later, now I have a fully fledged workshop which is able to produce for 7 productions.
A huge kitchen, which I've visited and gotten free food, and I'm gonna keep going back to get free food.
Anytime.
I was speaking to a guy earlier this week who's in the food industry.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't you call yourself a caterer? He's like, hey. The problem is abantu abamnyama bacabanga imncwabo. So he says he does food solutions. He says once I say catering, abantu bavela yazi ne-event 2000, like no, I don't do that. I do food solutions.
No, I love how he's positioned himself. There's a lady that said I must stop calling myself a caterer. She said I must call myself, what kind of entrepreneur ganje? A social entrepreneur. I was like, why?
Social entrepreneur?
Yeah, and she's like, because you're bringing solutions to, because I was telling her the bigger plan and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, when you call yourself a caterer, you basically downplaying yourself and what you've done and what you are currently doing. And I was like, okay, sometimes it works for me. I'll just come and say I'm a caterer, and who I cater for.
Yeah.
I cater for corporates, I cater for film and television, and I cater for commercials. Yeah.
You still call yourself a caterer?
I still do. I cater.
Is this because you're humble?
No, it's
I
because
ask this because abanye abantu would be like, look, I'm a food entrepreneur. I do food solutions. I do some catering, corporate catering. I do cooking classes. I do.
Yes, I'll
Is it because of humility?
I don't think it's because of humility.
You're not humble.
No.
Really?
Ukuba humble.
Diva when you get to spaces?
No, I'm not a diva. There's no need to be a diva. I'm just me.
What's a caterer to you, since you say you're a caterer?
A caterer is someone who provides food to you put me on a spot. But a caterer is a person who provides food solutions to people. So I think a caterer does that. I cater for I'll cater for a family of 4, and I will also cater for
a family of 400.
A family of 400 or a corporate of 1,000 people. Yeah.
I want to speak about how involved your family is or is not. But before that, I know there's a conversation you and I have had, which you hated very much, and I apologize, but about how we've lost the ability as families to get involved in our problems. About solutions. a conversation I had was with someone was about, what do you do when your partner yakushaya? Because today vele kuthiwa hambe emaphoyiseni, and it's like we used to have solutions back in the day. I know you've know some of these. I don't know if you want to share some of these, and then maybe we can carry on the conversation from there. So we'll use an example. You're married to me. I'm hitting you back in the day. What becomes the solution? Because then we didn't have amapois. We didn't have the courts.
I think it was because of my family structures back then. I think I hlugile, you know. Like for example, in my family, I grew up very sheltered from indaba. You know,
Indaba, family politics.
Yes.
Okay.
Indaba zabantu abadala.
Okay.
You know, it was something that did not involve me. Like for example, what happened before I was born has nothing to do with me, whether it's my mother or my dad's relationship or whatever. There were so many things that I was sheltered from, and then as and when my parents thought I was ready or sengingakwazi ukuhlafuna lokho, then they started telling me kancane nakhona, but also magnesidingo. Like for example, there's going to be a family wedding. So now I sengikhulile usisomdala. Now she needs to be called in so that sihlale phansi and tell her ukuthi this is what is happening, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do things. And then when I start questioning, but why aren't we doing it this way? Then they will tell me, lana akasenzi kanjena because this is what happened at this particular time. Uyabona ukuthi leyo iyangidinga, and there's a reason why that I'm told. Akusi ukuthi nje ngiyaqambukela and I'm just being told things that potentially ingangilimaza. Nokuthi ngazi ukuthi laba baxabane nini kanjani. Now sengizoba in between, you know, politics that generally don't need you. But going back to what you were saying.
But before you carry on, do you agree with that model?
For me, it worked.
Of sheltering children. It's almost family secrets that only come out when needed. And now, who decides that? Because mhlawumbe ingane is dealing with internal demons and trauma, and it's because khona izinto angatshelwanga. So how will you know when the child needs to know this or learn this?
You can't know. You know, with parenting, we choose our way of doing things. Okwenziwa kwamlojwa, akwenziwa kanjangasa, akwenziwa kwamanganyi, akwenziwa kwamthetho. So however my parents saw best ukuthi na indlela sokhulisa abantwana bethu ngakhona, so that nabo bezokwazi uku-account. So when I asked them questions, why did you do this? It wasn't because, oh no, because kwamlotshwa kwenziwa kanje. You know, so we did it because we thought it was best for you at this particular time.
And you're saying it made sense for you?
For them, and now I'm okay with it because I'm a parent myself. Konama decision that I need to start taking for my children, and I need to take decisions that I can account for. Masebe khulile. I can't say ngoba ngafunda incwadi ethi fanele I can say that, but fanele ngivumelane nalokho okubhalwe kuleyo ncwadi.
You need to have your own opinion, your own standpoint, your own way.
So I think that's the reason why my parents raised me that way, and I'm okay because listen, I turned out fine. And yes, not without my own triggers and traumas and whatever that we are dealing with. Sure. I don't think I get kumuntu ongenakho.
Sure. So you want to do the same with your kids?
Yeah.
You are doing the same with your kids? Based on their maturity, you keep things from them, whatever didn't happen before they were born.
We start having conversations. But there's something that a very good friend of mine taught me, Ukuli. And I think that's what she's doing also she's raising very beautiful boys. And she's like, don't treat them ngazathi ingane encane.
Okay.
Have a conversation the same way that you would with an adult. Nigga, that kind of respect. Obviously, yes, as parents we lose it, we snap, we'll shout. But the essence of it, you know, have a conversation.
Give them that respect.
Give them that respect. These people can comprehend things, and they can actually, you'd be surprised at what comes out of you know. But obviously at the same time, you need to shelter them. I do, you know.
Kulisa bafana ba soft. Hey, but you're a mom, so you're allowed. If I was speaking to Babu Abo, I'd be like, hey,
probably
daughter.
it would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
Because I recently ubathume esitolo, and I was so uncomfortable with that.
You were worried about their safety?
Yes,
Okay.
you know, but I mean, Engine was just down the road from us, and then it's like, I'm buying
Paranoia.
It wasn't necessary.
Trafficking, kidnapping.
So what happened was
Car accident.
they first walked halfway, and then the youngest came back. I was like, we couldn't do it. And when they came back, and I was like,
How old are the boys?
10 and 8.
Okay.
And then what's I remember because I was in the other room, and then it was like, no, Buyelani move. It's like the dogs, Daliza, the dogs are going to, you know, and then
Come on, laying down the law.
And then they went, and they came back with bread and a treat for themselves, and you know, I suppose that's gancane.
No, of course. So going back, you're married to me, I beat you up. What did we do in the past as Black African people to solve this situation, since we didn't have amapoyisa and
I
the
think
courts?
our family structures were different back then. Obviously, we had land, we had the space but there was a place where we could report to. This is my assumption. But
from what you know,
from what I know, okay, kukhona kwamalume lapha, kukhona kwasibanibani, there's a place where you can go ukhala uthi sekwenzeka ukuthi, you know. There was a certain way that we were raised, and there's a certain way that they would probably prepare you for umshado or whatever, you know. Unlike manje, wonke umuntu uyiphilela impilo yakhe. We've got silapha kwamthethwa kwamanganye balaphayana, you know. Yes, I go home for holidays, but it's not like I have to report to my father that this is what I need to do now. My next step in business, I need to tell him, you know. I don't know how it used to be back then. I mean, ngesintu kuthiwa umuzi kababa. You know,
I've heard that before.
Do you get what I mean? So I suppose it also comes with those things, but I don't want to talk too much about something that enginalo ulwazi olunzulu ngayo.
But I hear omalume were a big factor because I think today, just for it, a quick difference for people that don't know, if you're a girl, your mother's sisters or mamkhulu or mamncane, and then her brothers become omalume. Similarly, for a guy, your father's brothers would be your babumkhulu, babumncane, and then the wives would be your auntie. Other people would call them other names, but just generic. So omalume would generally be your mother's brothers.
Yes,
and it seems they had a big role to play that we seem to have lost today, because once you get married off, once your mother's married, you feel like the only people you speak to is your dad and your dad's side of the family. Meanwhile, your mom's side of the family also has roles in your life. Before you get married, and to what you're saying now, you wouldn't say, you're saying, my mom's brothers.
You know, I think that was the thing then. But also, what I also know, you know, with kids emshadweni,
yes,
they would
be raised.
Yes,
the mother's side.
Mom.
Yeah.
And then who plays the father role? Omalume is Katesning. So I think that also has to do with that. But
I hear you.
But you know, I still think the way that our families are structured now are completely different to how it was Dala. And the independence that we have from our family. This is where I stay. Because I mean, that was the main thing. It's like, let me get my own space so that I can also have my own set of rules and define this is how I want to, I'd like to live.
My biggest concern is the outsourcing to strangers. Because now, if I'm violating you, I would like for people that have a vested emotional interest in our success and in our children's success, because we're part of this bigger family, to be the ones to discipline my side of the family, your side of the family, instead of busy phoyisa elingasazi iphoyisa lingangishaya ngidubule. Same with judges.
But yeah, njengoba ngisho angithi okay, then there's Upen, who's taking care of this family. And essentially, even
as the breadwinner.
Even though you're not the head of the household, but you are taking care of.
You mean my family?
Yes.
Or because of black tax?
So I would say, there must be the spaces where yeah,
okay,
it's tricky.
It's gonna be an ongoing thought, at least for me. What I wanted to get to was you and your business. Because we've outsourced so much. You've got a family of 200, maybe 500 extended family members. You need funding for your business. 200,000, 500,000. Hambia Bank. And where we failed in creating family trusts, stokvels. So then your parents, your mom and your dad can say, the day you're ready to start a business, the day you need Tolly Bond, we'll speak to the family so that at least the family makes money and we fundraise here. And I guess I wanted to know if you maybe work with family, if your family's funded you, if they're involved in the business in any way, or is everyone in your business a stranger?
Okay, so I'm very grateful for my parents. So was education.
Okay.
So I was fortunate enough, Uguti, I didn't have to pay off student loans, NSFAS, and I just went to school. The parents provided, and after that, I think I've always been pretty much a very independent soul. So even when I was applying for internships and looking for work, there was no one that I had I just pushed through.
Yeah.
So when I got my internship here at the SAP here in Joburg, my parents came to see Nonhlanhla right and set me up nicely, moved my stuff from Durban, because I went straight from Technicon to work. And they moved. So that was the setup that they gave me, and that's what they could give me at the time. Whereas it's completely different to what my siblings had. So by the time that my siblings finished matric, my parents were in a better financial position. So Kazuguti, my brother, was able to have access to a car that I didn't have that I didn't have.
Kodwa siyababonga abazali for that progress. By the way.
Siyababonga abazali. So I can't compare. That's why ngisho ngithi, to me, if family support, Leo Bond, Leo Banbani, that was mine. That was the foundation that they gave me, and they were like, we've set you up nicely. And when I have conversation with other people, I deem myself as very fortunate, because there wasn't anything that I needed to pay off. There was no money that I needed to take home. So I was able to just purely focus on me and what I needed to do.
One of the biggest gifts that some of our parents have given us, and we don't speak about it enough. I'll speak about my mom, umams, not having to pay black tax. It sounds like a fantasy story. Black tax, he in log. So shout out to your parents for that.
So
maybe I was saying about that car like your brother, but with what they had,
that was more
and
than
to be
enough.
like, see, right, go live your life, go do your thing. Jeez, that's beautiful.
So I also at the back of my head, I knew Guti noma kungenzakalani, if things turn south or kungalungi, I can go back home.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah. So if things didn't work out for me, Goli, and collect my thoughts and start afresh with the support of my parents as well. So in as much as I didn't do that, and that was not the plan, but what also allowed me to take even other greater risks was because I didn't worry about the fact that I've got these people depending on me and I can't take this risk. No. They afforded me that foundation of my risk.
Thank you. Family members involved in your business, or do you just work with strangers?
I don't have family members partnering with me. I started off the business with my cousin Nomshado, but because of distance, we couldn't carry on the partnership. So I had to carry on with the business.
Yeah.
But my sister does work for me. And in the initial stages, my brother also worked for me before he got a job. So
you gave them jobs?
Yes.
That's nice. Do you know what a big deal that is? Do you?
What do you mean?
The idea that you're older than them.
Yes.
The idea that
deputy parent.
Better, you can always usebenze for someone in the family. It's a huge privilege. I don't know if they are aware. I'm going to work for my older sister. I might get a pay slip. I'm going to get work experience. I'm going to have referrals without having to go begging. Because one of the big things that the youth are struggling with is some have graduated, some haven't, but they don't know where to go, and they're like, mangathola nje internship, mangasebenza nje kancane ngithole nje some experience. And the ability to go to someone in your family and get that is huge, and the ability for you to be able to give them that makes you like, I always say abantu bama business have like a superpower. They have the ability to feed families. Yabona nje ukuthi abazali bakho isinko abakunikeza sona is education, schooling. For other people, they beg, they come to you, or they go somewhere else to be like, because of you, I can eat, I have a roof over my head, I can feed my kids. That's the superpower you have over their lives.
I always count myself fortunate to be able to do that. So it's one of those things that just, when things are not going well and you're having a fight with a client and you're having these disagreements and whatnot, and one of the things that you know what, I've got families to take care of, and not just my family, it's families. There are other people that are dependent on me to survive, to make this work. And I'm able to wake up in the morning and make it work just solely, just because of that. And my business was, I believe that I was not placed in this position or just only for myself, but it is for those families as well. If you fail, So ilo umthwalo osemahlombe ami, and I'm actually okay with it. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just grateful that I'm able to make that kind of difference. If tiwa kunalengane le eya university because ubaba ebesebenza la, it's
enough.
So it's okay.
How many people do you employ?
I've got 15 fixed term staff members.
Permanent.
But yeah, not permanent. I say fixed term realistically, because it can't be permanent because contract.
That's interesting. It's interesting you say that in particular, because I've had thoughts about umshado. That we're not going to go there. But I'm just trying to think, Uti, the psychological aspect of knowing, Uti, we're in this for 3 years. Let's give it a good 3 years.
Yes.
And if we give it a good 3 years, we might get an extension of another 5 years. Just umjolo.
And I'm very honest.
People have got this permanent, will be together forever, and maybe it comes with that entitlement.
I'm very realistic about that. Even when I speak to my team, I tell them, guys, this contract is for this long. And it's up to us to keep it or to lose it. Yes, people are going to get tired. Like, we work very long hours. We are in the kitchen at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Jeez.
When people are sleeping, my guys are being picked up from different locations so that we are on time for their meals.
Who picks them up? You? By not you, I mean your business.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
So we get our stuff. Also, it's a happy transport. Brilliant.
No, the practicality, of course, of picking up people at midnight or whatever is tough, but the ability to do that as well, because we talk about 1 a.m. now, but I know you guys work almost 24 hours.
You know,
There's times during the day where, it's a business imperative, but it also makes life easier for the person as well to not have to stress. Because abanye angithi you tell them ukuthi hayi mawungahlali close to the business asikwazi ukunisiza.
yes.
You get what I'm saying? Because some people be like, we work at 1 a.m. If you can't get a place close by, we don't care how much it costs. We don't care. So
but
you can pick them up.
realistically, I can't. Then
Yeah.
I'm able to pick up people from town, Soweto, Florida, and flee off. Within that proximity.
Yeah.
If I can't hire staff members about Tembisa,
Sure.
because it wouldn't make sense for me to go and pick up umuntu etembisa ezoza lapha ekitchen. But with the staff members that we do have, they get picked up in ungodly hours, and at 1 they are in the kitchen. That's when they start working. Hayi ukuthi bayafika nje
Hayi ukuthi bavuka ngo-1.
no, abavuki ngo-1. Kwakhona ukuvuka ngo-1 is very early,
Sorry, I disturbed you. You said you have 15 fixed contract staff.
And then when we are really busy, we do get to about 30.
Jeez.
Because I also have casuals on my list. Those are the ones that work with us only. Like, let's say Clive Morris Productions are shooting and they're shooting for 6 months. I can only take you for 6 months.
Yeah.
I can't take you longer than that. But also within the 6 months, I might not call you every day.
Who alleviates your stress? I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, one of the reasons I wanted and many people wanted women to get into business at the highest levels is because some of us got tired of reporting to fathers. Because you're meant to be a mother or a father in a business. And we missed that aspect of someone that actually genuinely cares. Yes, siyasebenza sikhanda imali, but I genuinely care about your well-being like a mother.
When you should listen, Mausa Kishin, one of these days. Mbali, more, it's sometimes it's like at home, but she's old enough to be she's the same age as my younger sister.
Yeah.
Even my sister called Mangi Memeza Andi Ma. So uyafiku mama. That's who I am. Kishin. And ngayazi istyle sasegola bezwane ke sisibasegola ubizwa ngomama. But I think I got used to being called mama from my late 20s to now. So sekujwayelekile vele ukuthi I've assumed that mom role ekitchen. It's not easy running a business because at the same time you have to think that these are staff members and they've got their own lives, and some of them are just here. They're here to make money.
Yeah.
Relationship here to esinayo la
It's a professional one only.
It's a professional one only. But because at times I would tend to get emotionally attached to people, and that's when I would get hurt when someone leaves, sengiyahamba ngiyokhala, and that has just been an ongoing thing. But of late I've learned and ufunda ngendlela ukuthi okay, we have a professional relationship. What makes it even harder is that some of the people that work for me, I have a relationship nabo before. Before baby I'm staff members. So with those ones, it becomes even more difficult when mhlambe sesihlukana or sesihlukana kabi. But with the newer ones, I've made peace with it. Okay, they may leave at any time, but you must also be okay. But what I really always hope for, even though I know, let's part in good terms, because I might just bump into you and you are sitting with board Bidvest, and I say how. And you can actually assist me with, you want to order, this is how, do you get what I mean? So I would like us with uhambe kahle, so that when we maslangana le ngaphandle, the relationship is still good. It will not happen with everyone, but there are those that it will happen that way.
I'm glad you touched on it, because one of my concerns with what you were saying was the emotional attachment. How do you then deal with having to let go of someone, fire them, How do you deal with someone leaving the business?
It's difficult, but I mean, I've had to learn with many other things.
Do you think that's a good thing that you've had to learn?
Yes, it is. I mean,
there's a reason why I asked this. I asked this because, when you look at the business journey, and there was a way of living that we had as Africans. It was a collective responsibility. We're responsible for the weakest link. If Ubabumtet was cows have been wiped out by drought or whatever, we as the community bring inkunzi and we bring cows ukuthi aqale startup. We won't let him die off. And now when you come to this Western concept of capitalism and business, you build something out of nothing, which is a beautiful thing, but now it's yours and it has stakeholders. And people come in and you become responsible. It becomes your baggage. You worry about their well-being. Now you have to let them go into the wilderness, and that's something you can almost stop by keeping them, but they're not doing well. Or umuntu ebehlala la ekhaya useyahamba, like, and you're saying now you've had to learn to be professional, but I don't know if it's naturally who we are as people, because if you're firing a person, where are they supposed to go?
But also, Penuel, even though ukhuluma ngalo ukuthi as a collective African blah 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 besenza kanje, but at the same time akuchaza ukuthi phela kudala babengekho abantu ababebheda.
Of course.
Kukhona into emakhaya okuthiwa uyadingiswa. Mawudingiswa uxoshwa kuleso sigodi. Yes, uyakhishwa, uyahamba, wenzeni? Let's deal with what you did, because most of the time now you've gotten rid of this person. Oh, I can't believe you fired this person. What did they do?
Yes.
So how did we get here? You know, in as much as sometimes it happens, this person is really going through a rough patch, and you've had to let them go. But sit down and have that conversation. I've got a good company of friends who also assist me. In some of my friendships, I've got lawyers and I've got different business people. I've got graphic designers, and so we sit and have these conversations. But no, this is how you can handle it. Sometimes I listen and I follow through with what they do. Sometimes my nature and then I'm unable to do that, and it's okay. It's not like we all do to the T what we're supposed to do and say, we did no. Kona la where you're like, okay, I'm not okay with it, with this decision. I'm not comfortable taking it as yet. And when I am comfortable, then I will take it.
How old is your business? How many years?
I registered the business in 2010.
Okay.
And then we started doing events in I started doing film catering in 2013.
Okay.
So yeah.
But in terms of the work, because before you registered at Usu, Kandimali vel?
No, not really. I registered.
When did you start cooking for money?
When did I start cooking? Okay, I started as an events company where we were just doing the decor and whatnot.
Okay.
So we started that in 2011. Okay. I got my first gig. Was it 2011? I can't remember. I got my first gig from someone engangifunda naye at UT. Her name is Patiswa Chwaku. She gave me a beautiful, beautiful gig. I think it was with Evan Steele.
Okay.
And we made a good profit, my cousin and I. And we were so stoked about it. Yeah. And she's the one that actually gave me my big break in business. And I was able to make a profit. And I still have some of the equipment that I use, like the vases, the tablecloths, and some of the things that I used. And then after that, then we did the events. I did 2 weddings, which took everything.
Energy,
everything, you know. And also, you know, when you hire people in the event space and they can see Uguti, okay, back then draping was like the thing. And they can see that you don't know much about draping, but tablescaping and then setting up all the other things, and we can take advantage. And I think that's what basically happened with one of the events that I was doing, because I wasn't experienced, they could take advantage of me. But I mean, hey, look at where we are now.
11, 12 years. And you're speaking about how you've almost changed. You've had to learn to be professional. You've consulted. I'm trying to figure out, do you think the ultimate peak of your career as a businesswoman is one where you completely lose your emotions, where it becomes completely a professional relationship and you almost don't care about their well-being, their families? Or do you think that'll always be important, and why?
I think that will always be important to men, in as much as there are things that you need to learn. It's the same as parenting.
Okay.
If your child falls and you look the other way, it doesn't mean you've stopped caring.
Yes.
Ukuthi yo uzolimala. But they need to know ukuthi mangiwa kufanele ngikwazi ukuyisukumela, because
Mama's not always going to lift me up.
At some point I won't be around.
Yeah.
So it's also that growth is not the most easiest thing. Even for staff members, for everyone, it's not easy. So we go through stages and processes and whatnot. So it's not about you entirely not caring. Yeah. Is this right, class?
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, so I will still, I love people. I love.
Do you love people more than profit?
Oh, I love profit. Man. Why would I be waking up? I'm not doing this for charity.
You love profit more than people?
Yes, I do love profit more than people, but I love people.
Do you not think you'll be a better businesswoman if you decrease the love for the people?
I probably would. I'd be a shrewd businesswoman.
Is that not what everyone should be striving for?
No, not me. I don't know about everyone, but njengoba wayesho uManxumalo, ayisesendifuna ukuyikha ngamabhakede Nonhlanhla. So that thing always comes back to me ukuthi at some point kufanele kube khona ukuthi okay, nganelisekile ngalokho.
Yes, what is enough?
But hayi ukuthi nje siyama, but with each and every stage ube ne point yokuthi okay, yazi ukuthini nganelisekile, and more ufika kuleso stage ukwazi ukuyi-reward. I didn't know how to do that.
Yes.
I'm only learning this now. I just ngazi ukusebenza nje, siyasebenza, siyavuka ekseni, siyasebenza. That's all I knew. But
what is the importance of rewarding yourself?
Because then you uvuselela lolo thando lwalento ukuthi oh, this is what this does.
Replenishing what's been taken out.
Yes. Okay. So kusiza ngalokho. Like people that know me from when I was in high school, abanye bazothi ay, it can't be Noni that said that or that did that, I've always been known to be frugal.
Yes, stingy. We call it stingy.
Umngani wami nje unokwazi would tell you, it's like uNoni never. She will count every cent. She did that, never, not my friend, But it was because at that time this is what I could do.
Yes.
And I was really okay with not getting that particular item or not doing that particular thing or not going to a certain place. But now that I can, and I've rewarded myself with what I want to reward myself with.
Yes.
Right.
Do you ever attend these women business conferences for networking? Do you have friends that are top female business leaders? Do you believe in that type of mindset? Do you think there's value in stuff like that? Or are you just running your own race?
Okay. I am running my own race. I don't generally compete. But there was something that my dad used to say, referring to Sonto. When we used to ask, why do you have to go on Sonto every Sunday? And he would say, Uma inkuni uyubasa zi collective. Besu keep lolo luyi-one, ulbeke eceleni, then it stops burning.
Yes.
But ukuze kuvuseleleke lowo mlilo uyalibuyisela phakathi.
Yes.
So also in business, you need to have a space where you feed off from. So some of these conferences are necessary. Even though I don't attend seminars, I have people that I look up to. There are ladies like Nonhlanhla Manganyi. When I look at the work that she's doing and what she does and how she does it.
Who is Nonhlanhla Manganyi?
Nonhlanhla Manganyi works. She's got I forgot, man, at the top of my head. Sure. So she runs these seminars, and she's very involved in uplifting women and so I'll remember it. So I have people that I look up to. They are friends of mine, Kulula Seyisu, who's doing an amazing job. She's in the law fraternity, and when I sit and have conversations with her, things make sense, you know. She's one of the people that can actually, that have been able to capture when she writes about me or she speaks about me, she's able to capture my whole sense of being, and I'm like, yes, girl. Damn. You know, even I don't know myself the way that you, you know. So it's important to have those kind of people. There's Ulondeka Dlamini, who runs Izinga Creatives. She does my graphic design, and she's a good friend of mine. So it's good to have those kind of friendships. And if I need to chat about film, there's Ulindiwe at Ulindiwe Stanley, there's Omenzi. I've got friends, I've got Abolufuno, I've got friends that I can go to for different things. And
No, do you know a lot of rich black women? Because, you know, in this country, we're constantly speaking about high unemployment, black women are poor, black women are what. But you've seen a lot?
Not a lot.
Do you ever look down on them and think, hey, I'm sure it's her husband's money, it's not her? Do you have that type of mindset that other women have?
I don't, because I think that offends me a lot. You know, there was this other time a while back in J. I was in my hometown. There was a groove situation that was there. And then I went to my car, and then one of the ladies was like, how yas beslindu puto driver le moto. I don't know whether wayehleka noma kwenzekani noma kwasekuthintekile kancane, and I was offended by that, and I was like, why don't you believe that women can actually do ukuthi bekungaba eyakho? You know, it wasn't even about me. And I was like, but do people understand the amount of work that we put in our businesses and the amount of work that we put in our families? Sometimes we can't even strike the balance. Talking about families, sometimes I feel so guilty. I'm not
being the best mother I can be.
Yes, you know.
I'm too focused on business.
And, you know, hey.
How do you deal with that guilt?
Having conversations with my girlfriends as well, because they are probably in the same position that I'm in. Some of them are single mothers who tell me this is how my life is, and I'm like, how do you do it? Some of them are married, and they say this is what happens, and we are able to have honest conversations with each other because we've created that safe space. And it helps to have that kind of support. Sometimes you don't feel like talking about that even in that safe space, then we like keep things to yourself. And but hey, Yazin, growing up.
And the husband, does he help in situations like that?
Yes, he does a lot. He's a present father, and he also assists me with business.
No, beautiful. How do we fix the mindset of especially young girls who don't see themselves driving nice cars, running big businesses? Because in their heads, they believe this is for men. Like, how did you get it right to, in retrospect now, it almost looks easy. How did you easily, not the work is work needs to be done, but to have the mindset to be like, I can do this and I'm not even scared.
My father was very strict. Okay, I come from a very strict family. Obaba will hold a meeting for you with minutes and everything and sticky notes. Abale, point 1, point 2. Sasithola phela masesilezi lapha esofeni.
Yes.
But he'd have those things and pointers and whatnot. But one of the things that my dad really said to me was like, ngiyankhulisa mantombazane, I'm not for ukuthi nibuye la khaya and take care of us. But I don't know what kind of families that you guys are going to marry into. I don't know even if you are going to get married, but nginikhulisela ukuthi nikwazi ukuyinakekela.
Yes.
So you must be able to take care of yourself no matter what, whether you are married or not, whether your husband leaves you or not, whether I just want to equip you so that you can take care of yourself. And in as much as back then it didn't not that it didn't make sense, but it was useqalile.
Yes.
Useqalile. Bukuba wakho umzwile utheni.
Yes.
You know, he even yabona ngane yami, yabona ntombazane yami. You know, that's how he would sit with us. But now when I go back and I listen to those conversations in my head and I realize
having a present father who also imparts knowledge and has a vision for you. Similar could be said of having a present mother. I'm trying to think now of some of the girls who don't have a present father. Some of the girls who even clamp with their mom, the mom herself, mama's living off a boyfriend or So what I'm taking from you is there may be some parents or some people in society who are creating this entitlement idea in girls' heads, and you never had that.
I know.
You never thought, hey, that can take care of me. That was never in your head because it was instilled. You must be able to stand for yourself.
I'm a hopeless romantic. Yeah. Like I had this picture of having a fairy tale wedding with like this and that. I had the colors planned out, but it wasn't because someone needed to take care of me.
Yeah.
It was just because I really wanted to have that.
Yes.
But it had nothing to do with umuntu.
Yes.
know, I've always known that I have to take care of myself. I don't know where it comes from. Don't ask me. But I suppose it's also some of these values that were instilled in me. Now to do this. And also, I watched I grew up with my parents. My mom was 19 when she was pregnant with me. She had me at 20.
That's a good age, by the way.
But at the time, why she was finishing matric. I think it was at that time to matric. So she had to stay for a good 3 years.
Really?
My grandmother was livid. I think she was. When my grandmother tells me she was very upset at the fact that my mom, I was like, manje, my mom's nickname uyinto. And when she fell pregnant, she was really hurt. So my mom stayed for a good 3 years and raised me.
Your cook was not playing games.
And then after that, she went to study teaching. Kusasa college back then. And then I think that's when she decided to be Geleba focused. And then she studied and she finished, and then they got married again, Obaba, and after that I stayed with them.
It's a beautiful story. So the reason I was saying, because people will get upset, the reason I was saying 19, 20 is a good age to have a child is just from a biological perspective.
Okay.
Not
yes.
In the world we live in, obviously, dynamics have changed.
Konja, that's what we were talking about. So I basically grew up with my parents. So when they moved from Opongolo to a Coronation, they moved into a mining community in the Falalani in that town, that mining town.
Was it Horizon Deep?
Horizon Deep, something similar to that. So we stayed at Coronation, and they didn't have to pay rent, rates, taxes, nothing. Everything was free. And then the mine closed down.
I want to disturb you. Everything was free. I've come to realize that a lot of people don't want to manage their own finances. People don't want to see pay slip ekombisa ukuthi khamba 5,000 we tax. People want you to be like, listen, uzohlala la, uzothatha ukudla la,
But
the company will take care of the other things. When I'm out told you 20,000,
let me tell
wako.
you, no, Ubaba was a teacher.
Yes.
In a mining school. He
Yes.
didn't pay for the accommodation. Whereas obviously teachers, if you were a teacher in town and you stayed in town, then you'd pay for your own accommodation.
And I'm saying people don't like that. They've proven it time and time again. You work in the film industry. We saw it with the generations where the guys were complaining, as told medical aid. And Jobuti, when it was free, it wasn't free. It just means maybe the mines were taking care of the rest.
Yeah, the mines were
When
taking care of the rest.
no one's going to come and disturb you. Sorry, I was just thinking out loud.
Okay. So
everything was free.
Yeah, because I remember even in terms of Tati Globe, you take a globe, say 20.
Yeah.
We give them a globe, they give you another globe,
Nice.
you go and you play. So that's where from there, and then the mine closed down. My dad was, I think, must have been 29 at the time. So he had to, as the head of the household, had to decide to go to where to from here. And then they decided to go to together. They're going to go buy a house in town. In Vryheid. And when they moved into town, everything was different. It was like that a culture shock that I've never experienced before. Everything was different, you know. The neighbors, there was no sense of community when we first moved in, and it was difficult. But I suppose Vryheid is a place that basically made all of us, including my parents. That's where they grew up also, as abazali, and that's where they established their careers and they grew and you know, and yeah. So I was able to see all those stages, and that's why I don't feel entitled to imaliga Penuel or imaliga Sbanban. I just know what you need to work for your money because of the fruits of the labors that Manganyi and Madlamini have.
I love the story of your mom. Okay, number one, ugogo cracking the whip and saying, "Uzoyikhulisa le ngane." Sasi ingekho nenza whatever you were doing. And then your mom, even after those 3 years, not feeling hopeless and saying, "Okay, sengiyofunda manje," and becoming something. And I know you've spoken very fondly of both your grandmothers, because now I'm going back to this thing of the story of Ikruv, because it's a common thing. A woman arrives in a car, or rather a car is seen, and people assume it probably belongs to a man. If not, it's probably her husband's, her boyfriend's. If not, she probably has a blesser.
But
and you've had powerful women in your life, not only your dad's teachings, that have actually visually shown you powerful women doing things for themselves and not relying on, and what that's done for your psyche, where to this day you can't even think of the idea of I can't do this. I've seen it over and over.
I've seen Black beautiful women succeed, and success to also succeed in their own lane. They didn't, it wasn't about Tuguti, they living in the most flashiest houses and whatnot. I suppose my paternal grandmother's thing was so that they can be independent. And that's what she did. All her children are professionals and all over, you know. And also my maternal grandmother was the same thing, although I always say she was a little bit spoiled, you know. She stayed with husband and she was dropped off at work and she was picked up, but she was extremely strict, and she instilled values in me that, you know,
How does it feel making a lot of money?
Gumnand.
Does it feel natural, normal? Do you want more?
Yes, I do want more. But angazi ngachaza ngithini. Ngiyafuna yes, I do want more. Why fanele ngilokho full stop.
Are you building a legacy business? Everyone talks about a legacy business. I'm doing this for my children.
I'm hoping to do that. But it's aksuguti, that's really my focus. Whatever that I'm able to give to my children, I'll ngizokwaneliseka ngakho.
Are they involved in the business currently? 10 and 8 for me means bayakwazi ukushanyela bakorobhe baqubule.
Not physically involved in the business, but they know exactly what is going on in the business. In terms of chefs, they would know, okay, Ellen is the pastry chef, Daddy K, no Daddy P, this is what they do, and this is what is happening. And I remember 2 years ago, my youngest was like, I've got ideas for the business. What is in front of me? If you were to do this, and actually just give me a moment with Chef James, I need to go and have a conversation. So they have that relationship with the staff members where they can have these conversations, so they know what's going on. Oh, mama wants to do cooking classes, and this is what. So I believe uba involver and them coming over to the kitchen from time to time and understanding ukuthi kwenzakalani. That's great. But at the same time, I would also like to invest in other parts of their socializing as well. Like, for example, our parents, when we were part of the first groups of children, multiracials, and I don't think our parents understood our struggles.
Yes.
Obviously nabo they had their own struggles ukuthi iyabiza le uniform from black and white, mina ngasuka black and white to some blue red uniform.
Jeez.
Which is extremely expensive.
Yes. And you can't just pick it up, hip.
My first uniform was secondhand.
A lot of us started there, yeah.
Because ibibiza, man. And yes, you can't pick it up like anybody's uniform.
Yeah.
So it was that. And now with sports as well, the sports clothes are expensive, the uniform is expensive. Now fanele nginikis captains Powerade, Grace, hockey stick, you know the things most.
Those were their struggles. We had our own.
So no, angithi nathi makufanele uhambe uyodlala esport and you're like, oh my god, my sports bag. Fanele ufihle isikhaftini,
Yes.
like, oh cha. And your parents didn't get it.
True.
I remember when we had to go on a trip, Kushinda 3. My parents thought, oh, abanye bazoya, abanye abayi. And I was the only one that remained behind. And so mangibajena afterwards, and they're like, but why didn't you say it? But I did ask.
Yes.
I was like, but we thought it's not
really a compulsory.
So it's those things that I look at. Okay, sports is important. Sports can pay the bills, because I've also been exposed to this kind of the entertainment industry, the sporting industry, the film and television industry. Like ngiyabona ukuthi this is what ukuthi ingane yakho yajiva, it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
Nangu babes wodumo wenze imali engakanani just ukuthi uyakwazi ukujiva.
Also means baqale jiving as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's those things that you need to also look at. Okay. To ukhulumela safuthi lo mhlambe they'd be good with debating, I look at my son, he's very athletically built, akavi lapha. But when I take him to gym, naturally umzimba wakhe uyanyakaza. When I say swim, is very competitive and so if kokunye kufanele umfundise and you socialize your child in a certain way uthi nakho, and he's really good with math and science, and he's not interested in some of the things that I'm interested in, so let's help him kulokho akuthandayo. Maye tuthanda imoto. To what extent do you want us to go to Kyalami, siye ku race track? Do you want the inside, the outside of the vehicle? Do you want to buy a car franchise? What is it that interests you in vehicles? And it's like, no, it's this. Okay, let's work on that.
We've spoken about it before, and I'd like to raise it again, and I apologize if you're going to be answering what you've answered before. I love studying business across various industries, and you always find similar patterns and what we call mafias. Some call them cartels, gatekeepers, whatever. In your space, because we always assume, hi catering, we are at your level of the business, are there cartels, are there gatekeepers? Has it been easy for you to get work? Is there a level where you can't get a certain level or size of work because there are certain people at the top?
Mina, to be honest, even though I've never really gotten funding from government or any other institutions, I've tried.
Have you been funded?
No.
Always been self-funding?
Yes.
Brilliant.
So I've never been funded, but EEP helped me because in one of the pharmaceutical companies that I work for, ngangena because there was an ECDP program that needed to be done for Black entrepreneurs. But at the same time, I delivered. I delivered the product, and it was proper product.
You were meant to be there on merit.
I was there on merit. But at the same time, ingisizile lento yokuthi support Black business. But fortunately, they supported a Black business that had work ethic. And that's what has helped me. I always made sure, listen, push, sebenza, learn about your industry, do this. I'm not a chef. Okay, I didn't study culinary arts from the get-go. I went and I did journalism at DUT, worked in media for 10 years, and then only went to culinary school. And I only got my qualification when I had started my business, and that was like in 2018, I got a certificate. But I'm
trying to figure out if there are gatekeepers in your industry and certain levels you can't play at because there's big people that won't let you in.
There are. I mean, the nice thing about film industry is that it's just private companies doing their own thing, and but I've never gotten a government tender deal or whatnot because there's so much red tape. If
the issue is the red tape.
Yes, okay.
No, I'm trying to figure out.
As an SMME, like a small business, ugawayibona tender document ukuthi ngakanani and all the things that you are supposed to know and you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
And how long it takes for you to have those things.
I've seen them. I've seen some of these things.
Compliance, just compliance on its own. Who assists you? This is how you go about. Mina, to get a certification of acceptability, your Jehovah, it took me such a long time. Because I went to an so and so is gone. This is what is happening when up until a health inspector walked into my premises, because I had been running without.
Yeah.
A health inspector walked into my premises and said, and luckily, mabefika bathola izinto ze right kitchen. And I was following protocol because why? I went to school so that I could try and follow protocol and I could do these things.
Yeah.
So yes, some of the gatekeepers are not necessarily people, but are the processes that we have to go through. Some of the red tape, trying to fill in the tender document, trying to do this, trying to do that. And then also, I don't want to lie, our industry, like the hospitality industry, is predominantly white.
Male.
Yibaba phethele phezulu.
Ekudleni. Which is meant to be into yabo mama.
Like obana baphethe beat best, obana baphethe in, and those are the people that get the biggest canteens. They get the.
You know, you're saying it's not people, it's processes, and in my head, I'm like, it's people, because in the banking industry, just to be considered for a banking license, you need at least 200. Last I checked, 260 million rand just sitting, which you have certain reserves that can, and then there's a huge list, the type of directors you must have, and the people that have created these processes you speak about, people. When they started years ago, all of this didn't exist, and they've made money and they've built teams that can do these things. So just to qualify my tender document, they've probably got a department that only does that, compliance department. And then when you're meant to come in, Mr. Bakchat, but we need the compliance because it's for health, it's for, and so, but when you guys started, you didn't start here.
And then they say it's for SMMEs. Njani. If we don't know how to, some of these small businesses can't even afford accountants.
Of course.
And then you want all these big things.
So that's a form of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting, and I think we're going to close on that topic. You said you were given an opportunity at Nubongi PEE. And you said, fortunately, they picked the right person who's meant to be there on merit, who delivered. Work ethic. Where, if you were to give advice in your industry in particular, especially abantu abamnyama, where do you think they're falling short and they can be better? And by better, I mean world class. So we can have world class caterers at the smallest mwabo mshado out there.
That's something that I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm working on. There's a place in my kitchen that I've sectioned out so that we can start cooking lessons and actually I'm very close to getting my accreditation, and I think it starts with training. In as much as bengwazi umsebenzi, I could cook, but I didn't know that certain vegetables had to be stored in a certain way. I can't keep cooked things below raw things because of cross-contamination. If this falls on this, then there's this bacteria that's going to grow, and this is how people will get sick. The reason why other people get sick after eating spinach is because it's fagi by carb. Do you know, it's all these things that teaching people certain techniques. I don't think it's crazy science or something that cannot be done. It can be done, but it's a matter of reaching out to township caterers, reaching out to umama opega emakaya, and creating these relationships. No, we're not competing.
Yes,
but the pie is big enough for all of us. Asithole any training that is necessary. Asihlanganeni kanje. This is how we can make it work. But obviously, it's not everyone that you can do that with. But my plan is to actually create that space where I can train caterers who have started off like me.
Cooking in the flat.
Yes, and tell them, go to Guganje. This is where I started. This is how you do your SARS. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. This is how you get your compliance. I'm still on that journey of compliance. Believe you me, angakaqedi. But I got excited. I just ukuthola nje vet registration. It's exciting. It's one of those things. It's the right direction. Okay, I've got financials. Let's have my financials. This has been, other people don't even know what it means. And also, the advantages of being vet registered and the disadvantages thereof. How do you work around it too? All of that,
in your opinion, it's an unfair question. In your opinion, do you think it's better to work in a space and then learn as you work so that the education is relevant? Or to start with the schooling first? Because it sounds like you approving of schooling, but I know a lot of kids who studied culinary arts, they probably get taught about finance, but after 3-4 years, they don't have a business. So it was theory, just your pass. With you learn because you know it affects you directly.
I think at some point, there was a time where I wasn't interested in school.
Yeah.
And I just lost it. Sorry, guys. It's my phone. Young to step.
No, it's fine.
So there was a time where I lost all interest in school. I think it was because what I was studying was not relevant to me, and I didn't know what space I wanted. And I think that's a problem with many of the graduates right now.
Great courses, amazing courses, amazing material, but no relevance.
No relevance. Umuntu ahambe yokwenza tourism, and akekho no passionate about this tourism. Lo muntu
loka gcine emadadeni akazi nokuthi South Africa injani.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Even not necessarily going there, but just to read up on how other cultures live, and that's what I did with food before I even started. Yes, I would cook because of my grandmother's influence and my mother's influence, and but I wanted to know more. I wanted to see, how do the Italians gogos cook bona compared to our gogos?
You were curious.
I was curious about the space that I was in, and so for me it worked. And but for some other people we don't all need to go through that. So sengifundile so that I can pass on some of the knowledge too, so that you can have a better start, or you can run faster than I do. Let me pass on the baton. So it's not necessary yes, you can go to school. After you go to school, come to a space like mine, so that I can take you on my entrepreneurial journey, if that's what you're interested in.
Beautiful. In closing, someone is watching from home, they're like, this is interesting, I want to get involved. From your side, selfishly, what help would you like from normal people in growing your business, in scaling, in getting better? What are you looking for in terms of maybe work, people with skills, etc.?
So right now I'm looking at starting my culinary school.
Yeah.
I'm starting with classes. Hopefully by March I'll be able
March 2023.
March 2023.
Okay.
I will have everything ready to start. So that's basically my focus right now. And if people would like to assist me, you can assist me by putting word out there. Go to our website, www.kushinda.co.za. About three. www.kushinda.co.za. Go look at our social media. I am looking for someone to manage my social media because I'm struggling. That's difficult.
You're doing that yourself?
I'm doing that myself.
Okay.
And it's
social
a bit
media
of a
manager.
slip. Yeah.
The culinary school, you've got people that will teach. Are the kids going to be expected to pay? Do you need people to fund?
So what I'm going through the CETAs right now. After I get my accreditation, because there's a levy that I pay, an SDL levy that I pay.
Skills development levy, sure.
Yes. So there's a certain amount of grant at some point. So that's the route that I'm taking at this point in time, because I know culinary schools can be very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's easier, or it's better when you go through the CETAs, because they can then pay stipends to the learners and also pay money to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but so that's the route that I would like to take, so that I can actually get people that really cannot afford the culinary
but need it.
But really need it.
You're not struggling with work?
Not at the moment, no. I'm not.
Must be nice.
I'm fortunate enough to have built relationships because that's what I've learned over the years. It's not about just getting the client.
Yes.
It's about building a relationship with your clients. And that's how I've been able to maintain the momentum, I suppose.
Nonhlanhla, thank you so much for visiting us. I'm looking forward to you coming back. I know you didn't want us to discuss like deep topics, but I want us to discuss some of the deeper stuff.
Why?
But yeah, I'm looking forward to you visiting again, and I invite everyone to visit your website, eat some of your food, which is very yummy, and connect with you in some way. I think for me, a business owner at your scale is almost like a president of a mini country. There are so many stakeholders that can plug in. There's so much education. You work with food, which is a basic need. That means farmers. That means people in logistics that are either transporting that food when it's raw or when you're working with film and you're working with accountants, and it's a beautiful industry. And I'm hoping in one way or another, myself and other people within our circles can get involved. If it's the smallest they can do is just share your stuff on social media. That's at least something.
That would be nice. Speaking of farmers, yes, thank you for reminding me. There's a lady called Uspiwe Toilet that I work very closely with, and I would like to actually open up that space. Instead of us just going straight to a market, it would be nice to build that relationship between caterers and farmers, especially caterers that work on with large number of people, as I do every single day. That's another thing that we need to look into, and there's so much that we can do, especially with our indigenous food.
100%.
And I have a great passion for that.
Nonhlanhla, thank you so much.
Ngiyabonga.